Hey, what's up, everybody? My name is Chris Meekins, and I'm back here with my second lesson ever on the acoustic guitar and explaining a few things that hopefully will help you guys understand the guitar a little bit better. And without further ado, I'm just going to jump right into what I want to talk about today. So, first of all, I wanted to add on to my first lesson. I wanted to talk about a few interesting chords, and in this video, they're actually in the key of E. So, if that doesn't mean anything to you, just ignore what I'm saying. But essentially, all these chords I'm about to show you sound good over the E chord. So, if we go to the open position, we got an E major chord, right? All right. Now I'm going to show you another like a standard way to continue this chord progression would be like E, and then maybe an A chord, and then maybe an F sharp minor, and then maybe ending on a C sharp minor, something like that. You could vary it in however you want to, but what I wanted to show you guys is I found these chords that go along with my first lesson, and essentially you're going to be leaving some strings open, and they sound a lot better in my opinion than just the standard bar chords that you use in the E progressions usually. So this first chord I want to show you is an F sharp minor 7 add 11. And the way that you do this, it's kind of hard to do it. You're going to use your ring and pinky finger on the A string and the D string on the 4th fret to hold that down. And then you're going to use your index finger on the G string on the 2nd fret. And then you're going to use your thumb to hold down the bass, the low E string. And then play that all together. And you see how those two strings at the bottom, the B and E, play, they're open. And then you're going to move it up a whole step, which is 2 frets, and it's going to be a G sharp minor 7 add 11. Then I want to talk about I want to show you the A add 9 chord next. Now, in my last video, I showed you the A7 chord, which was like this. Index finger on the D string, middle finger on the B string on the 2nd fret, and then play from the low A string down. So that's a nice sounding chord in A7, but if you want to make it sound even cooler, in my opinion, you could play the A add 9. So you keep the A7 chord shape, and then you use your pinky onto the G string of the 4th fret, and you play from the A string down. See how it just opens up the sound compared to... See, it sounds a little more dull, right? But with this, to me, it sounds a lot, I don't know, just more playable, Very, very nice sounding. So, if I were to take, I could take a 1, 4, 5, oh, well, let me show you the last 2 chords here. So, that was an A add 9. B add 11 would be next. Now, this is basically just a standard B chord. You're going to use your index finger on the A string of the 2nd fret, and then you're going to bar the 4th fret, the G string, the D string, G string, and B string, and then you're going to play the index finger. You're going to put the index finger on the A string of the 2nd fret. And that's just a B chord. But if you leave the if you can manage to leave the E string open rather than barring it, then you can actually create a B add 11. but it's very hard to do, and it's really uncomfortable. So honestly, if you can even just do a regular B chord, this will work for what I want to show you. So and then next would be a C sharp minor 7, which is exactly the same thing as a C sharp minor. So we find our root note. We got A sharp, B, C, C sharp. So 4th fret, A string, that's the C sharp, so that's going to be our root note. And then we're going to use our you use your ring finger on the 5th fret, or sorry, 6th fret, a D string, and then your pinky on the G string of the 6th fret. And then you're going to use your middle finger on the 5th fret of the B string. And then you're going to use your index finger on the root note, which is the C sharp note on the 4th fret, the A string on the 4th fret, which is the C sharp note. And then you're going to play it without barring it. You're going to keep your index finger up like this and not bar it down. And then this would be a C sharp minor 7. Not that note, not that string, but from here. So that would be C sharp minor 7. So those were the chords that I wanted to show you. Now feel free to go back. I know I went a little bit quick here, but I'm trying to get a few things done in one video. So the next thing I want to talk about is when you're improvising in a certain key. What I like to do is first, let's say, let's keep it simple and keep it in the key of E for now. So, go to your open position and find the chord, E major. So that's going to be your main chord. I mean, no matter what you do, you're going to always come back to that chord. Now, what I would recommend doing is looking at the individual notes in this chord, all right? So, E, A, D, G, B, E is the strings, right, from top to bottom. Every acid dealer gets busted eventually. That's a nice mnemonic or whatever you want to call it to remember it. So yeah, E, A, D, G, B, E is the actual strings, what they're tuned to in standard tuning. So that means when I'm making an E chord, to make an E chord, I have to have an E, G sharp, and a B in the chord. Okay, for at least three notes of E, G sharp, and B to make the sound of an E chord. So we have our E, which is open, and on our tops on our low string, and then we have a B. Oh yeah, okay. So there we go. There's our B on the A string, because it's A sharp, B. Okay. So there's E, B. So we almost have the chord already. Now let's see what the next note is. Well, that's gonna be another E. Okay, cool. So we have E, B, E. And then now we go to the G string, and look at this. That's a G sharp. And then the other two notes are already a B, E, and they're just in open position. So we got E, B, E, G sharp, B, E. So all together, that makes our E chord. Now, what you want to do to make things very easy and simple, as much as they can be anyways when trying to learn music and guitar, you want to learn the pentatonic scale, the E major pentatonic scale. Now, you could learn the E major scale, but there are ways for certain notes to kind of clash together learning that. So I recommend keeping it real simple and learning the E major scale. So the E major scale is E. So I'm just going to play it along the top strings, okay? So E, open E, then we have F sharp, and then G sharp, and then we have B, and then C sharp. So it's only 5 notes, literally just 5 notes. E, F sharp, G sharp, and then B, and then C sharp. So, and that's all on one note, one string. Okay. So what I recommend when you're trying to improvise and just get in the feel of it, just pick 2 chords, any 2 chords, like E major, and then I'm gonna pick this variation of F without the Hendrix style thumb on it. This would be an F sharp minor 7 something. So okay, so like take E, and just try to get like a little bit of rhythm. And then now remember the notes in the E chord. We got E, B, G sharp. Oh wait, I'm sorry. We have E, B, E, B, E, G sharp, B, E. There we go. Okay. See, music isn't easy. Okay, I don't care what anybody says. But all right. So anyways, so remember those notes. Now you want to try to resolve every small solo lick or riff that you do. You want to try to resolve it back onto E or G sharp or B, the root notes in the E chord. But even without even knowing that, if you follow the E major pentatonic scale, literally pretty much every note is going to sound good. So I'll show you an example of this. So I'm picking two chords, right, that I know. So I got the E open, and then I got this variation of F sharp minor. And you hear how the open strings really bring out that loud kind of open space fill. And then if I want to do a quick lick, I could go. I mean, now that didn't even sound, I mean, that sounded okay, but I messed up there a little bit. But the idea is you're just using the E major pentatonic scale. And I'm literally just using the high E string. And that's literally 5 notes. So mess around with that, and then once you get comfortable with that, you can add on some notes onto the B string. So now with the B string, you can find like, okay, so remember the scale for the E major pentatonic scale. This is important. E, F sharp, G sharp, B, C sharp. Those are your notes that you want to find. Now on the B string, you got B, C, B, C, C sharp. Okay, well, there's a note. There's a note that we need, a C sharp. But we also have the open B, so we got B, C sharp. So if you play the scale on the high E string, you got E, F sharp, G sharp, and then B and C sharp. Okay, and then we move up to B, we got B, C sharp, and then we could go to D sharp. See if I make sure I did that right. B, C sharp, D sharp. Yeah. No, I messed up. See, I'm messing up. Okay, so that was a mistake. I was thinking of the major scale. D sharp, you don't want it. So remember, you don't want to include that. So remember E, F sharp, G sharp, B, and C sharp. So like I said, I mean, you know, you can play over these chords. Now, I mean, using one string, it's not going to sound, you know, amazing, but it's going to sound okay. I mean, it's going to sound better than somebody that, isn't using the scale properly. I mean, you can still make melodies, off of one string, maybe a little bend there, hammer on, And remember, you can leave space in between notes, it doesn't have to be lightning fast solos for music to sound good, Some vibrato, And then if you add on a note or two on the B string, you can improvise something like go to the C sharp chord note there, so, and then G sharp on the G string, and then resolve on the E string or the E note. So I know that was a lot to take in, but the main things I'm trying to get down is use the E major pentatonic scale to your advantage when you're soloing. And in this case, it would be the E major pentatonic scale because I'm in the key of E. Now, last couple things I want to talk about here is so the certain chord progressions will sound better if you're trying to accomplish something. Like different genres of music uses different chord progressions. So we got like in folk and classic folk and roots, which I do a lot of folk music myself. It follows a 1-4-5-1 pattern, and basically that means like you can look it up, and there's 7 chords usually within a key. And for the it's getting a little bit advanced, but for the key of E, for the E major, it would be E major, F sharp minor, G sharp minor, A major, B major or B7, B major dominant, and then C sharp minor, and then a D sharp diminished. And of course, there's variations of all these chords, but my point is, once you get better, you can kind of get a feel for these chord progressions and how they sound differently in certain genres of music. So like, if I'm doing a classic folk song, I could follow a 1-4-5-1 chord progression, and it might sound something like, and then it comes back to E and resolves. You think of Tom Petty. I don't know. You don't know how it feels, or it goes. Something like that. You could call Tom Petty not folk, but it's classic rock. It's kind of close to folk. Very very standard chord progression. Now, if you want to make it a little bit more narrative, you're telling a story, or if you want to make it more emotional, you could do a chord progression 1-5-6-4, and this one's kind of fun to play. So it would be like an E, then a B, then a C sharp minor, then an A, and it resolves on A, and so A is like the open. It comes back to it's a very classical story type of chord progression, because like you start out with the root, and then the B builds some tension, and then to the C sharp minor, it becomes the emotional core of the song, and then back to A, which is open and hopeful. Perfect for telling a story through a song. And then if you want something even more moody / minor leaning, you could do a 6-4-1-5 chord progression, which would be like a C sharp minor, and then an A, and then an E, and you notice how in that one it ends on the B, and B is usually, in this case, it's usually built to build more tension in the song. So when it ends on the tension, it becomes more minor leaning and slash moody. So anyways, I hope you guys picked up something from this video. I actually do have one more thing I want to show you guys. And this is important, but I don't know. I might save it. I think I'm gonna save it for the next video. But here's the main things. So I showed you some interesting chords. I showed you the F sharp minor 7 add 11, which is this chord right here. Instead of just a standard F sharp minor chord, which would be like that, this one's a more fun way to play that. And then if you move up a whole step, that's a G sharp minor 7 add 11. And then we got the A add 9, which is this one. And then the B add 11. And then the C sharp minor 7. So those were the chords that I showed you. And then for the E major pentatonic, we looked at the E, F sharp, G sharp, A. Oh, I'm sorry, B, and then C sharp. So E, F sharp, G sharp, B, C sharp. And remember, if you're improvising over the key of E, you can just play. It'll all sound good as long as you're hitting those notes. Something like that. And so yeah, I mean, look into the E major pentatonic scale. And then another thing that you can look into, if you're strictly trying to play inside, let's say the key of E, which has been my example this whole time, you treat E major as your home base. So no matter what, like if you need to, I don't know, if you're running out of chords to improvise over, come back to E. It's all going to come back to E. Okay, specifically E, B, and G sharp as well for the notes. So build the progressions using, like E, F sharp minor, G sharp minor, A, B, C sharp minor, and then, like I already said it, target E, G sharp, and B, the notes inside the E major chord itself, whenever you want a phrase or line to a sound completely resolved. So, in other words, when you're doing a solo, remember it doesn't have to be too complicated. Resolve on E, or resolve on G sharp, or resolve on, B, They all sound good. They all resolve the song in that way, in one way or the other. Anyways, I know that was a lot to take in. I really hope that this helped you guys out a little bit. And I'm going to sign off for now. And I hope that you guys, like I said, got something out of this and continue playing, man. You guys got this. All right. Talk to you guys later.